Oh, yes, Monday evening, 8 o'clock.
We're back, baby.
And the Ben Austin from the agency, and with helping you find your home in Portugal. And we start the show with some industry news. But before we go there, it's customary now, isn't it, here in our fourth episode, to discuss to fly the flag for Portuguese wines, Ben. I think this is your idea, wasn't it, that we should be sipping on Portuguese wine during the podcast. What have you got?
What have I got tonight? Well, Carl, I fancy something a bit strong with a bit of a punch. So I went for a stewball wine this evening, one that I haven't had before. It's called Caves de Pegões. I'll see if the camera wants to focus on that.
Pegões, yes, I've seen this one before. I think maybe I've drunk it. Yeah, very good. Yeah, stewball can be full-bodied and heavy-hitting, right?
I'd like to describe, it's a bit like Mike Tyson. Has a really strong punch.
Yeah,
but rarely ever goes after 3 rounds.
They don't mess about. For me, staying in the Dow, a great Taoist convert now, but the Encruzado white, with a little bit of a label that aided the buying.
You're still sticking to your whites, are you? Until it gets too cold.
Well, the clocks have gone back. It is definitely feeling more autumnal and wintry. And I did have some red wine last night, but I'm holding out with the whites, which I became a really big fan of, especially the Dow whites this last summer. That was my summer fling with wine, was with the Dow whites.
It's so easy to do here in Portugal. There's so much variety when it comes to wine.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? Right, we've got great guests tonight. Ilse de Graaf from the agency and Paul Rees of Rural Properties. Ilse de Graaf will be showcasing it's a classic property, isn't it? It's an Alfama apartment. You can't get more Lisboeta and Portuguese than that in many ways as a picture postcard residence in the capital. Paul Rees talking about what to look out for with builders and contractors, developers, when you're choosing from afar, as some people will be when they're watching this podcast and wanting to know how to find trustworthy people and processes here in Portugal. But before we get started and chat with Ilse, you've got a bit of industry news for us, Ben.
Yes, a bit very EU-centered, kind of a follow-up on what we did, what we talked about last week. A few more statements from Dan Jorgensen this week. So, if you remember what we talked about before,
who is this chap? This is
the EU Commissioner for Housing, Dan Jorgensen.
Right. Yeah, and not making friends here, right? In this part of Europe, I don't think.
I don't think so. No, they're planning. Give a small summary of what we spoke about last time. The housing market in Portugal has been deemed overinflated by the EU, and it requires intervention at the hand of Dan Jorgensen. He's released a statement saying that the plan that he's going to release in December will have a large fixation on AL. So there's going to be more regulations behind ALs, which I'm in two minds about, to be completely honest. If we go back to 2023 and we remember the introduction of the seal tax, so an extra tax on profits made from ALs, from short-term rentals, holiday homes, etc. Portugal very quickly revoked that by next year, because what we realized was when we introduced that tax, suddenly the market was injected with all these very nice properties, because if you're an AL, you're maintaining your property, you're probably going to be above market value. So they introduced the seal tax. Loads of people decided, you know what, I can't afford to keep this running as an AL anymore. Rentals are taxed at 25% income, so that's not an option for long-term rentals either. I'm just going to sell the property. And we kind of saw a spike after October in average property price. So I'm afraid that will happen again with EU intervention. So fingers crossed that we don't go down that path as well. But on another more assuring note, there is also a pan-European, a pan-European fund that's being established as well to build sustainable housing here in Portugal.
Sustainable from an environmental point of view, or an economical point of view, or both?
Economical. Okay. I imagine with it being the EU, there's probably some green legislation in there as well, so there'll be a bit of both.
Yes.
It's good, really. What worries me though is currently the definition for moderately priced housing in Portugal is below 648,000, or to be rented out at 2,300.
Yes.
Which, let's face it, that isn't really affordable housing. No. For a nation where your median wage is, 1.2 thousand per month? That isn't really affordable housing, is it?
No, it's not even that, is it? But it's less than 1,000, as I understand it. So I beg your pardon.
Medium.
You're talking about medium. I beg your pardon. Forgive me. Yes, jumping on that. Yeah, but either way, it's not a pretty picture, and those figures of affordable housing are way off, aren't they?
Definitely. We're looking. I mean, it's a personal opinion of mine, but I think affordable housing is 200k below. Yes. That's kind of the ceiling for that.
Yeah, right. Okay. So we watch your space. The continuing intervention of Dan Jorgensen and the EC.
Yeah, by December we should have his plan fully launched, and I don't know how long it's going to take to integrate, but I'll be paying attention to it definitely.
Okay, all right. Is that everything from you from a news point of view?
Yes, sir. That covers it.
I have some snippets for you before we talk to Ilse, which we'll do in just a moment. Snippets here. Surge in property prices in April 2025. Portugal's median, there's that word again, median residential property appraisal value reached 1,866 per square metre, marking a 16.92% year-on-year increase, driven by persistent supply shortages and robust demand. That's certainly the case. That's how it feels, isn't it, in the industry here? Foreign investment boom. Foreign buyers, particularly Americans, accounted for a significant portion of sales, with transactions in Lisbon and Porto up 63.3% and 54.2% respectively over locals. Overall, foreign direct investment in real estate hit 13.2 billion in the past year, up 19%. Market growth projections, analysts forecast continued moderate expansion in 2025, with residential and commercial segments showing double-digit growth in Q1. Portugal's housing prices rose 16.3 in Q1, the highest in the EU. That's why Dan Jorgensen is looking this way, outpacing the euro area's 5.4 increase. I mean, that's an extraordinary percentage over and above the average.
I was about to say, according to the EU, this is a statistic that came out of Brussels. Apparently, the real estate market in Portugal is overinflated by 35%.
Right. Wow. Yes, I saw that headline. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, there's a lot to go at in those numbers. Ilse and Paul, our guests, might like to talk about that as well. Regional shifts and trends. While Lisbon and Porto dominate, inland areas and the Algarve are emerging hotspots for investments in senior living and student housing. That's wise development, isn't it? In senior living and student housing. Prop tech innovations like virtual tours and AI insights are transforming transactions. And finally, before we speak to Ilse, rental and policy updates. Rent increases for existing contracts are capped at 2.16% for 2025, amid a noted slowdown in new rentals. Post-2025 election stability supports a 4-year executive plan to address market issues, including mortgage incentives. You can find those headlines at the Portugal Club, and I will do my best to get that link to you so you can take a look at them for yourself. Let's give her a nice round of applause, shall we, and bring her onto the screen. Our featured agent of the evening, it's Ilse de Graaf, everybody. Hola, boa noite. How about that?
Hi, guys. Good evening.
Good evening to you. How are you? How's your day been?
Very good. Very good. Very busy. We're preparing for an open house tomorrow. So very exciting to invite clients, partners, colleagues to a new property. And, we like to do that.
Is it an open house for the property you're about to present us?
No, that's not it.
It's a different one.
That property I only left for tonight.
Okay, very good. Is it too late to get invited to the open house tomorrow? Where are we?
Not.
Where are we talking about, Ilse?
It's in Lisbon. Right. It's an apartment very close to the Campo Martires da Pátria.
Okay, wow.
300 square meters, apartment with common pool, parking, great views. So it's a very interesting property as well. But
that's quite a generous space
to talk about tonight.
Okay.
But yes, you're welcome to come. Please be my guest.
Should we carpool down there, Carl?
It sounds fantastic. It sounds fantastic. And I'm getting the feeling that Lisbon is your territory. Before we confirm that that's true, let's find out more about you as an agent working for the agency. How did you get into this? And I don't think you're Portuguese, are you? Not a Portuguese native. How did you get to be in the country, and how did you get to be in real estate, Ilse? If you don't mind.
Okay. So I'm from the Netherlands. And I moved to Belgium when I was about 23 years. So I started a career in the airline business, and then and from there I moved to Portugal. So I lived in Portugal already from 1993 up to 1997. But that basically was because of my husband, who was transferred to Portugal. So from the Algarve, that's where I started in real estate at the time. I moved to Lisbon with him as well. And from there, we moved in 1997, we moved to Italy, where I'd been living for almost 20 years in 3 different places: Venice, Milan, and Rome. We lived in Rome for a long time. And then when the kids left the house and they went to university, got their own jobs, my husband and I were thinking, okay, what shall we do? Where shall we go to, right? Because Italy is an amazing country, but to work, it's a different story. Okay, so we met an old friend who said, you need to go to Lisbon. And we said, Lisbon, really? Are you sure? He said, no, it completely changed. It's amazing. There's a lot of investment going on. So we went in October 2017 to Lisbon on holidays, and we moved our whole stuff 4 months later. So that's my story in, a bit of my life where I lived and traveled. And I actually ended up immediately in real estate because of I speak a few languages, and that's there was so much international investment that the real estate companies were really happy to hire somebody that spoke more languages. So and I joined the agency about 2.5 years ago now.
Wow, amazing! What a lovely backstory! So many beautiful European cities you've lived in.
Definitely.
Yes. Yeah. And here you are in Lisbon, where our featured property of the evening is. And as I was saying before, you can't get more Lisbon than this, can you? Than Alfama.
Yeah. So this property is located at the bottom of Alfama, which already makes people definitely happy, because Alfama is known for, for this winding streets, very narrow streets going up. And this one is located right at the bottom. And you can just cross the street and you're at the river. Now, that what you're seeing now is a view that struck me when I entered this property, because it has a frontal river view, which is quite stunning. You have this view from the living room and from two of the 3 bedrooms, right? So
Look
to
at
tell
that.
you, sorry
to interrupt. This is so beautiful, isn't it? I beg your pardon.
Yeah, it's really, I call them the Lisbon beauties. And why is that? Is that it's in a building that was completely renovated about 6-7 years ago, right? So it's big building, about 15 to 18 apartments, and what I do specifically in Lisbon and also in Porto, but also in Lisbon, they renovate these old apartments, but they keep the original features. Like this apartment still has the original floors. You have the original shutters, and of course you have a ceiling height of more than 3 meters high. So light is unbelievable.
It's a beauty.
Yeah, it's a real beauty, and it's a big apartment, 168 square meters, which is quite big. And it's just, I remember when I walked in, I was immediately just caught by the historic charm of this property.
Absolutely. And it's a bit of a blank canvas as well, isn't it? Apart from the piano, was it owned by a musician? Is that what?
Well, the father of the owner, he's a concert pianist. And he gave a Steinway to his son. So, to get that Steinway into that apartment was a big adventure, right? Because it had to go through the window. They had to kind of take out the whole frame to be able to put the piano inside. So, preferably, the apartment is for sale with the piano.
Yes, amazing. And negotiable, but what a lovely feature, what a lovely thing, an artifact to have in there. So, ideal for a pianist.
Absolutely. And nobody complained. So that's a good thing. So insulation is really good.
Oh, okay.
Which is always a positive here in Portugal.
Or they were a very good pianist and you got free music.
Yes.
Any questions from you, Ben, on this? Because it's an absolute beauty. We can see what Ilse specialises in, I think, here in Lisbon.
Oh, definitely. I think it's very generous in terms of square meters as well for Alfama. It's also a very generous price as well, if I remember correctly. What is it, 995?
995.
995. Okay, we can have a look at some of the stills on the screen as well. We'll step through these. I love the bath as well there. Anything other outstanding features? Or could you, I say it's an iconic location near the Santa Apollonia station, near the cruise liner, a departure point and arrival point there. For people who don't know Alfama, and where have they been if they don't, can you tell us more about that location in Lisbon, please?
Sure. I mean, the historic center of Lisbon is quite small, right? And Alfama is actually the oldest neighborhood that we have in Lisbon. And it is, how should I say, most of Alfama has been completely renovated already. But it kept its history because of the small streets. And besides the yearly festival of the Sant Antonio, where I don't know if any of you already experienced that. That's when especially Alfama goes like really wild. It is actually a very quiet place during the evenings because we do not have any loud bars or so. What you have, for example, in the Bairro Alto area, it's quiet. And of course, we all know the Portuguese national music, the fado, and the fado is always played in closed areas. So it's a very quiet location. Actually,
as we can see, right from these pictures here, the exterior, and that's the iconic. View, isn't it, that you get when you're looking up at Lisbon from the Tejo River, and this little praça here, that will be filled, won't it, during the Sant Antonio festival, and the aroma of sardines will be in the air when the Sant Antonio.
Exactly, but it's also a lot in the small streets where then people are dancing and grilling meat and fish. It's a really nice place. What I also really like about this property is the location. Besides the fact that it's just opposite the river, right? You just cross the street and you have this beautiful boulevard that's been completely renovated already. You're also very close to the Praça de Cebola, which is like the onion square. I don't know where that name came from, but you have the metro there. It's just really convenient. And from there, you walk just through to Chiado, and it's just extremely convenient. Yeah,
absolutely.
Speaking of fado, am I correct in saying it's quite close to the Museum of Fado in Alfama as well?
Yes, correct. Yes, correct. Yeah.
Amazing. Right. If you're interested, you can get in touch with Ilse this way. This is your agency profile here. And I see from this, Ilse, you have a good number of properties. Any other highlights you want to share with us? You've obviously got the open house tomorrow. What else can you tell us about your portfolio?
Well, I think I have a few listings as well in the Cascais area, but what I'm actually focused on lately a lot more is the whole area of Comporta. So have Comporta, Melides, and Carvalhal. So we have a few properties in that area. Properties. There can be plots with approval. There can be hotels. They can just be single houses. I have quite a few properties there, and I decided to work there with a local partner, which is really great because Comporta is an area where you need to know the back streets. You know, you really need to know how to move along. And I think it's less evident than in the cities of Lisbon, Cascais, Porto, and the Algarve. It's more the countryside still. But as we all know, Comporta is extremely popular.
It is, and increasingly so.
Absolutely.
Before you go, we're trying to help people find their home in Portugal in the broadest sense. You know, a great sense of being at home is afforded to people who get this culture and who love it, and specifically a property as well. What's your advice to people looking from afar? Because I think that's quite daunting for people, isn't it, to not be in the country, to see all these beautiful pictures, but not have any boots on the ground, as it were. You could be those boots on the ground. What's your advice to people who are looking from afar and from abroad?
I think the first thing, what I think is really important, is that they decide really what they're looking for. Now, what kind of lifestyle do they want? Do they want to live in the city? Do they want to live in the countryside? Do they want to live in a smaller village? I think that's the first thing where you need to start, because already that decides in which areas that you need to look for. And then I think it's really important that you work with a local broker. Because otherwise, you're going to be all over the place. Of course, we're all very we can all go online, and there's a lot of information there. But in the end, you need somebody that knows what to look at, that knows to analyze paperwork, property documents, right? And I think that's really important, that you work with somebody that has, I would say, also a big company behind you.
Yes, and clearly you're happy to work in that way, Ilse. It's lovely to meet you, to have you on our show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And come again, please come again. Ben, sorry, I've been dominating the conversation again. Over to you before we take boa noite to Ilse.
And that happens. If I might just add on to what you said as well, I think it's really particularly important in more rural areas to know someone local.
Yes.
Especially with the way municipalities work here, it always helps having someone who knows who's in the council, who to speak, which person, the secretary to speak to, which one not to speak to on a bad day.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
These little intricacies, they do help.
Well, muito obrigado, boa noite, and we'll see you again soon, I hope. Ilse, just do come back, and good luck tomorrow with your open house.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.
There she goes. And I think, Ben, we should keep the applause going, should we not? Talking of representation on the ground, and Ilse mentioned if somebody has a preference for the countryside, here's the man they should speak to. Keep the applause going for Mr. Paul Rees, if you will. Hola, boa noite. Good evening to you, Paul.
What can I say? Good evening.
Yes, absolutely, loud and clear. Raucous
This
applause.
is an unholy time of day for me. I'm usually on your morning show at
You are, and are usually in bed by now, or you?
No, sadly not.
Hasn't gone back. You might be. I'm guessing.
Sadly not. No.
Oh, okay, good for you. Good for you. Like some people who settle here, 9 or 10 o'clock is far too late, and they struggle to get into the Portuguese habit of staying up to the ungodly hours of the early hours of the morning.
No, I'm of an age now where I can get by on the sort of Thatcher sleep of 4 or 5 hours.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, there's a book in that. I think
too much on my mind.
Something with iron in the title.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I come up with answers at sort of 4:30 in the morning. Think, got it. Yeah.
That's extraordinary. You could certainly run a webinar or a workshop for those people who, when you say to them, "Oh, the festa doesn't begin until 11 o'clock or midnight," they're like, "Oh no, I'm in bed by then." This is sort of working through it. Is it pushing through it, staying up late, having a few hours kip, and then getting up and having a very creative day in central Portugal?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm more productive in the mornings. Strange.
Incredible.
People different. Yeah, people different. Some people like a snooze in the afternoon and will work into the night. So
yes, guilty as charged.
Right, there you go. Yeah.
Today especially, right. It seemed to be quite a busy weekend, and I had to catch up this afternoon. The Sexta, we call it in Portugal. Right, as you say, you're normally with us in the mornings, showcasing the wonderful work you do at Rural Properties. And thank you for being with us tonight in the Real Estate Plus section of the new Find Your Home in Portugal show, where you're talking more generally and helping people, as I was asking with Ilse earlier on, those looking from afar, from abroad, and facing that daunting task of finding somewhere good to live in Portugal from thousands of miles or kilometers away. And you're very kindly going to give us a little bit of a guide to finding reliable, trustworthy professionals who can help you build or renovate here in Portugal, specifically for you, central Portugal. So thanks for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. First, it's difficult for people to run a project from afar. If you're stuck in Düsseldorf or Paris and have bought somewhere and need it renovated, it's nerve-wracking and it shortens your life, I think, to try and run things from afar. Even though we've got video these days, you can have walkthroughs and everything. It's a question of trust.
Yes.
So it is difficult. I think if you're here, it's a hell of a lot easier. And
right.
We go to every single site we're working on every single day. Because the day I don't go, that's the day something goes wrong.
That's your working life then, is it? You do a tour of your active sites?
Yeah, I do. Also, it's good that the boss shows his face. But no, it is. And people keep questions until I'm there if they need answering by me. So it's so anyway, that doesn't really help if you're doing your own project. I mean, there are various types of project, if somebody wants an extension, so say they bought their idyllic country pile and want to put an extension on, they should have found that out before buying it.
Right. Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
So, there are some restrictive rules. There's some rules where you can extend, expand, go up, go sideways. It depends on the classification of the land and how much land. So it's actually a really good idea. Don't listen to anybody but the council before you buy something. Don't be assured, oh yes, you can build on a 60-foot lounge at the back. Check it. Check it out beforehand. I think once you've got that clear and you've bought your place, I can't stress, I'm very lucky in the central region where the cameras here, the councils, are so much more amenable than they are in the south. As you know, Carl, I spent nearly 18 years in the Algarve, and the councils there are trained in 100 ways to say no. Even when you say good morning,
No.
Here it's very difficult. I mean, I can literally walk into councils around here and get to see the architect if they're in. That's fine. That's wonderful. Okay, I'm in a slightly privileged position because I do a lot of stuff, but generally it's I see individuals and couples in the council office being treated with respect, firstly, and secondly, people explaining what processes are, and it's just so much easier than queuing for 4 hours in Lule camera and getting nowhere. Take a ticket. So there is that side of it. So the involvement of the council is a good thing because they'll tell you what you can and can't do. They'll also tell you the scale of the project, whether you need to submit a project or whether what you're planning to do can be done under, it's what I call the small works license. It's a sheet of paper you fill in just saying what you're doing.
Yeah.
And generally, if you're keeping the front of your house the same in terms of window location, door location, and making changes inside, putting in heating, knocking holes in the wall to put vents in, it's fine. That's 40, 50 euros well spent. In terms of how to find a builder, which is what you asked me to talk about, which
before you go on, thank you very much for the incredible notes you've made and sent to me. This is a guide, and perhaps we can share this with people. Okay. And there are fabulous bullet points here. This is like pretty much all you need to know, I think. And thank you very much for doing this. And you were going into point one there, really, weren't you? Defining the scope and the project and
seeing if you need seeing what you need, seeing if it's a complete renovation, it's heavy stuff and it needs to be legal, it needs to be correctly submitted, you need to have an engineer checking it. It's you're building something not only for yourself but for the future, so you don't want it to fall down or have inferior materials.
And sooner rather than later, as you pointed out. The sort of thing that Ben, we get to hear this, don't we? People are told, "Don't worry, it'll be fine. We'll take care of it." Don't be
naive.
Don't do that.
Before we get into this, however, if you don't mind me taking things back a step, because as you said, Paul, you're a regular on Carl's morning show, but there might be some people here who don't know you, see, because this is the evening show now. Would you mind giving a brief introduction of who you are and what you do?
Very good.
Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah.
We kind of just jumped straight in there, didn't we? It's very easy to do.
Sorry, I'm assuming a degree of familiarity, which
me too. Well said, Ben.
Which I shouldn't. I moved to the central region in 2019 and set up Rural Properties, which has a very simple mission: to buy old buildings, renovate them, and sell them. And we've done we started off in village properties. We're more into historic properties in towns now. It's extremely simple. That's my 30-second elevator pitch. It's very easy.
Very, very good. It does. You do what you say on the tin.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
a lot of people say, "Well, why are you there? Isn't there more money in the Algarve?" Well, the problem in the Algarve was planning permission was taking up to 2 years.
Yeah,
I was largely self-funding, and projects were soaking up. A simple building plot near Bolly Kent, 300 grand. That's before you start. Then you've got to sit on it for 2 years while you get planning permission. That's ludicrous economics. So I was encouraged to take a holiday in the central region, and found I was very much at home. There's a soul to it that appealed to me, and I think I'm a bit Scottish, so it seemed to me a bit like Scotland. It's lots of water and forests and just a healthier attitude. But the economics of it are good. I can do a lot more projects and bring a lot of old houses back to the market, if you like.
Are you wearing the tartan this evening? You don't have to show us.
I'm not actually. No.
No, okay, not on. It's just ceremonial purposes. Okay, fair enough.
That's it. Yeah, it is.
Well, we're not good enough for you.
I did actually live in Scotland. My surname is Welsh, but I did live in Scotland. And the Scottish side is Campbell, and I live, which is like the ones that collaborated with the English hugely. And I lived in a very anti-Campbell area, so I was okay. I stuck to the Welsh surname, and I was a fellow Celt, so I got away with it.
I'm Welsh. Right. Global Nobles, great show as always. Thank you, Amy and Greg. Boa noite a todos from the Squire of the Shires from the UK, and the Gainesville Gator Girl is here. Hello, fellas. It's only 4:30 here now. Only we change our clocks back this Sunday, so I got to catch this one live. Well, thank you for choosing us over your morning meditation or yoga or whatever it is you were meant to be doing at this time, Donna. Thank you for being here. And yes, we'll continue. So thank you, Ben, for that. Getting Paul to introduce himself there. I too was a little bit too familiar there. We had a look at defining the project, the scope, licensing requirements, working with the camera. And it sounds wonderful, Paul, that to the humanness of Central Portugal and what you're able to achieve, rocking up at the camera. On to point 2 then, due diligence, verifying the reputation and track record of contractors, a really important thing to do, I think, right?
This is really networking. If you're asking the council who's a good builder, they'll recommend their brother-in-law. But you need to drive around the area and see the names on board, see who's doing what. And if you see a similar size project and there are actually people there working, that's a fairly good indication that somebody is serious about their business rather than an abandoned site with weeds going through it.
Yeah.
So that is the asking around bit, and then tracking them down, and then asking to see what they've done in the past.
Yeah.
And ask to see 2 or 3 or 4 projects, because they're going to show you the best ones. And as you go down that list, they'll get the ones that may have had problems. I have had occasions where a builder has shown a project that absolutely wasn't his own.
No.
This is quite interesting.
Oh, very innovative. Very.
Definitely. Yeah, and then you need to, when you've probably come up with a short list of builders, you then want to check their paperwork. You want to check they're legally allowed to build, that they're registered, and that they have insurance for themselves and their workers.
Okay.
And you may not care about their workers, but actually, should something end up coming up to court, their lawyer, the opposition's lawyer, will to take someone to court. They have to have a full set of documents. Strangely, if they're missing one, it's down to you. You should have spotted it, that they didn't have the right insurance, their Alvaro was out of date. It's easy for them to wriggle out, basically, with a good lawyer. So check everything should it ever come to a dispute. But there are a lot of disputes, and it's largely because they're largely kicked out and unable to be pursued because of technical details like that, or payments made without VAT, or lack of invoicing. There's all sorts of stuff you want to stick to make sure that you're covered.
Very good diligence.
End of the day, people are easily persuaded to take shortcuts. Oh, he's a nice bloke. Oh, it's fine. Let's have another beer. You do need to actually have that template and tick it off. And the builder, if he's any good, will respect you for it as well. I
was going to ask you that if you're having a beer, after somebody's work day and they're just slapping you on the back and saying everything's going to be fine, don't worry about it, and then you ask them for something and they get a bit offended, that's a red flag, isn't it? As you say, a professional builder won't be offended by such questioning. Yeah,
and they shouldn't be offended by asking for a proper contract in Portuguese, which again it has to be. It's pointless having an English one. So that's another thing. You need to actually follow the due process before a single cement mix has been wheeled onto site. So it's quite
Can you do bilingual contracts? I mean, this is coming from a
I would.
Okay, perfect. Because we can get CMIs and we can get CPVCs in bilingual. So
Yeah, no, it's fine bilingual, but there has to be a Portuguese version, and that will be the one that will be treated in court. So you need to check the Portuguese is the same as the English, but.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. That's a good point as well, isn't it? Because they could be different, couldn't they? They could be saying different things. So you need to.
If you've never run a building project before, you might have done some DIY in your home country and know a bit about insulation. But if it's a larger project here, you will need someone checking it independently.
Yes.
A technico or an engineer, just to be able to independently say what the builder's claiming is right. Yes, the insulation in the roof has gone on. Yes, it was X thickness. It was that type. Things that will get covered up fairly quickly that can be hidden. You need somebody actually checking it and signing it off. If you're not there, if you're around and know what you're doing, that's absolutely fine.
It's interesting. Yeah, some people with a bit of DIY background will be slowly going off this idea, and that's not a bad thing. This is no small order we're talking about, is it?
Yeah, I mean, the real question is the scale of the project.
Yes.
If you're putting a new roof on the barn, they've done it before. Fine, carry on. Just tell the camera what you're doing and crack on with it. But if you're extending the barn and putting a different configuration of roof, there's all sorts of times that you would be best advised to use a builder and then someone to check on the builder on your behalf. So.
And the third party, yes. Okay, sorry, Ben, you were going to ask something as well.
And I was just going to say, because it's not many people realise how dramatic the regulations are in their home country in Portugal. Am I correct in saying that Portugal has one of the more complicated building codes in Europe?
I wouldn't say it's complicated. It's just ignored a lot, which causes a lot of court time being spent on unraveling it. It's not difficult. I mean, I must have done, I don't know how many projects, but the only problem I've ever had is at a high level, CCDR level. The regional, I've forgotten what it stands for.
Development plan. Is that the regional development?
I was thinking something.
The code at regional level.
Yeah, where the camera actually wasn't following the rules with the CCDR. And that ended up. That's the only problem I've had in 23 years. So, so I think it's not difficult. Some of it's open to interpretation, which is why you need to talk to the local council. There are things in this area I can't do. I can't connect many houses to main sewage to get alojamento local licenses because there ain't no main sewage. So the council know that, and you can put in a new septic tank. So it's, if you read the law, you couldn't possibly do it, but there's some adjustment and easement because of the local environment. So I think it's good actually that councils have a bit of leeway rather than just saying no.
Yeah.
But yeah, the building code, I'd hate to try and unravel the French one, the Italian.
Yeah, there are probably other aspects to that will make it. Right. Oh, okay. Let's move on to point 4 then, if we may, of your excellent guide, as it's turning out to be.
Point 4 is use a technical person to check and sign off various stages. Yeah, I think point 5 is one where it often comes across, which is payment.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
I need a couple of thousand up this week. There's all sorts of nonsense that goes on. People ask for 40% up front. I've got to buy materials. Well, hang on. I'll go with you to the supplier and I'll pay directly using your discount. You're a lot safer. And if that causes an upset, you've got the wrong person.
Yes, these are little tests along the way, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Just testing. So large upfront payments are a no-no. And people say, it's normal to have 25%. It's not. Is
that right? These are interesting things, aren't they? That often the foreigners fall prey to. It's like it's like months and months of rental deposits, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And payments. Yeah, and people get desperate. and they want to see their project built, or they want that particular apartment, so they do these things, but they're not necessarily legal or advisable. It would seem from your point of view.
So
And
just to establish a comparison, what would be a regular ask then? If you're not going to do 25% up front, what would be more reasonable, like a 5%, 10%?
Yeah, I'd go as low as possible because I'm like that. But 10% is fine as a sort of signing on fee.
Yeah.
For the person to get organised. Then you'll go through the materials with him. If you've got to buy 10 grand's worth of timber to do a new roof, go to the timber yard with him. Then actually you can get his discount, but you're paying directly. So the timber yard's very happy to give a discount on the day, rather than wait for Joao to pay them after 90 days and then probably not.
Okay.
So it can work quite well. You can reduce that deposit need quite well. The other one is at the end of the contract, people quite often keep 5 or 10% back. I've never done that because I think if the job is done to everyone's satisfaction, then it's done. If you've got a 5-year guarantee anyway on new build and substantial works, I've never had to call on that at all. But also I've worked in the past with people that I trust to go and fix something if something breaks.
Yes.
That actually has just happened on a site. We had a customer that bought a house 2 years ago, and a junction in a water pipe had burst. I'm thinking these are brand new junctions, they're bulletproof. Yes. And it turned out, because of the configuration of the village, that the water pressure in that particular house, because it was end of the line, was like huge.
Yeah.
So I hadn't spotted this. It's not the customer's fault. It's our fault. So we went out and put a valve in the house side of the water mains and repaired it. The pladur had to come down and we had to put it back up. But that's fine. That's a bit of bad luck. But the total cost to me is a couple of €100. It's fine. Okay. The goodwill involved, it's worth doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's not like they were popping all over. I was quite pleased it was just one, actually, in an accessible place. So,
and these things happen, don't they? It's show business.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, and we're in this realm now of dispute resolution and legal recourse. Need to be aware that this can happen. People don't want to talk about it or think about it, but it can happen. And what do you say on this matter?
Well, I mean, disputes happen when people stop talking, strangely. You think a dispute's an argument between two people. It's actually when you have to stop arguing and revert to email. You said that if you can't sort it out between yourselves, you can file a complaint against them. You can send lawyers letters. It shouldn't get to this, but sadly it does.
Yeah,
and contractors have certain responsibilities. And to enforce those can be expensive and time consuming. So it's far better to find out if there are any niggles in the relationship or any shortcuts that are being taken or things you've asked as extras that you haven't really costed in your mind, that you haven't costed in your budget, thinking they're going to be thrown in for free.
Yeah.
It's that sort of area, but rather than major scams. If you've got someone checking the materials and checking the build as it goes through, you shouldn't have a problem. So, but some people keep a 5% retention. If you do that, basically you're going to be overcharged 5% anyway, because when the person's doing the budget, they're going to add that on the assumption they're never going to see it.
Very interesting. You've done this before. And there are cultural considerations that somebody doing this for the first time and from afar will not be up to speed on. The Portuguese things about communicating via email, thinking you're communicating in a particular way, and that's not part of the national psyche or expectation, or it means something different. And this can happen in conversation. Now, you've done enough of these. It's not your first rodeo. You've done enough of these, haven't you, to understand those nuances and cultural differences that might upset people in a way that a foreigner would have no idea they were upsetting somebody.
No, they would take Kins dias to actually mean a specific time period.
What does it actually mean?
How far do you want to kick the can down the road? It means
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there are, you get used to it. And that's why it's really good to have someone checking what's going on. Pay an architect, pay an engineer. If you're unsure about any aspect of it, just pay it. You know, you're creating something. Normally, if you're doing a restoration, you're creating value. So by the time you finish, you've made good money, because not everyone wants to go through the process. You know, there's plenty of stock to buy, but there's not many individuals that actually take the time and the trouble to build something. So when you finish, you've got a capital gain inbuilt into what you've done. So it doesn't matter if you're going to live there 20 years, it's fine. But you feel comforted that you know, you bought for 100, you spent 100, it's now worth 300.
Yes.
So of that 300, pay an engineer, you know, 500 a month just to keep things on track. Then it's such a comfort.
Excellent.
You know, I have no problem for paying for professional services, lawyers, engineers, solicitors, because that's what they do day in, day out. So they should be good at it.
So think big, think long term, rather than trying
to don't cut corners. If you cut corners, builders will cut corners.
Interesting, Paul. Fascinating, eh, Ben? I'm learning a lot this evening. I suspect you are as well.
100%, yes.
And finally, dodgy geezers. This doesn't sound like the other headings, but I think we're probably talking about other red flags here, are we not? It's a British turn of phrase, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't realize this would be read out on air. But,
okay, sorry, right.
But yeah, dodgy. It's, you know, you get a feeling. Often the more charming the individual, the better they are at conning you.
Okay, that's another interesting.
That can happen, but
yes,
it goes back to, you need to check their documentation and their insurance, and you don't want to don't work for cash. Please don't avoid either.
Yes,
I mean, hopefully the EVROM aspects of building will come down next year anyway to 6%. It's painful at the moment. 23%. I resent every transfer I have to make.
Yeah,
but and it's a deduction on your capital gains when you sell the property. Well, if you want to sell the property.
Yeah, I mean, there is for an individual. I'm a company, so it all gets mished up anyway. Okay. So it's I look more at IRC, but it's still it's a huge political area. The costs of building, the government basically wanting the private sector to provide housing for the poor. And not doing it themselves. But one of the key things is with the licensing fees, the VAT, and in the big urbanizer, you know, in Lisbon, Porto, the Algarve, it takes forever to get projects through. So if you change those three things, you know, you will start to get a more balanced housing supply. But don't get me started on that.
No, let's not get him started on that. Let's just review the dodgy geezer.
So don't pay cash. Always have a record. Never pay cash. Always have a record. Yeah. I mean, buy the labourers a couple of cases of beer on a Friday. That's fine.
Yes, that's the way to do it, isn't it? So insurances, pay the EVA, keep the receipts, avoid those demands for excessive payments up front. That could be a red flag. Make sure the contract is bilingual, and please do our testimonial references. And get a proper
contract. The contract needs to cite elements of the building code and civil code and this and the other. So get a solicitor to do it.
And your experience.
If it looks complicated, if it translates in a complicated manner, absolutely fine. Because if the person signing the other side, if the builder signing it doesn't understand it or doesn't want to sign it, then you know you've got a potential problem. So
really good. I love the way you look at this and how you're sharing that with us this evening, Paul. Thank you so much for being with us.
It is still the case that the really good builders will have a long waiting list, but get in there. It's the asparagus theory, you know. It takes 3 years to come up. Well, if you don't plant it, it'll never come up. So you want to get in there.
Ben, had you heard the asparagus theory before this evening?
I hadn't, no. And that's surprising considering I went to culinary college.
Yes, indeed. Okay,
what's the point of planting asparagus? It takes years to come up. Well, if you don't If you don't start, it'll never come up. So.
And think of the melting butter, the salt, and the black pepper freshly ground on there.
Saute it a little bit.
You will know why you planted it 3 years ago at that moment, won't you?
We finish on a high note.
Just like when you're sitting in your beautiful renovation, and you haven't cut any corners, and you're not, as so many people sadly experience, a nightmare situation, and they move into their place with traces of resentment. This is how to do it right. And it may have put some people off, Paul, but that's probably not a bad thing. And you're able to assist, or is this out of your realm and remit to help people in this project management way? Can you refer people who can do these things?
I get asked all sorts of questions. I'm very clear about what we do as a company, and I'm extremely clear on the amount of hours in a day.
Yeah.
So I stick to buying, renovating, and selling. I do also take the other side of the business is taking some third-party properties. People approach us to say, "Can you sell this old convent or this estate?" And if I like it, I will list it and be able to show people around and know the ins and outs, which is fairly time consuming, but those are sort of generally $1 million plus. So I don't mind the commission on that. Right. But no, generally I get asked, I give advice for free, but I'm not going to get involved with checking a builder's work. It's not my speciality. That's not what I do. So get a specialist, get someone that does it day in, day out.
Very good. Very good. Excellent advice this evening. Any further questioning, Your Honour, Ben Austin?
Thank you. I'm just about to say, if I might jump in here, if we go back a little bit, you were talking about vetting builders, and you mentioned insurance, and you mentioned some documents. Are there any other key documents that people need to look out?
Well, they need their ALVRA to operate, their builder's license. That actually, you also need to check that they're licensed to do the type of building that you want.
Yes.
And then it's insurances. It's their building insurance and their their employee insurance. Those are the three key things. You can also, if you really get into it, you can go onto the finances website and see if they owe Social Security or the tax office.
Really?
But that's being a bit sneaky.
But it's there, isn't it? It's in the public domain.
Yeah.
It's all there in the public domain, absolutely.
Yeah, it is. I think over a certain amount, I think it starts at over 25,000. I know there's a limit below which, if that actually had everyone on the database, it would be vast.
There are limits. Thank you, Paul. Great info as always from Donna. Yes, 4:30 in the afternoon, not 4:30 in the morning. The Americans are behind us, and always will be, some say. If we find a home that needs some love, we'll give you a ring. Bonne nuit, sister. Lovely to see you there, Donna. Thank you for joining us. 4:30 in the afternoon. Your clock's going back on Sunday, I believe. Great job, Paul. We'll see you again in the more familiar morning slot, and I think you're probably going to be retiring in the next few hours for your 3 hours of nightly sleep. I don't know how you do it. I want to talk to you about that. Maybe we'll do that over a coffee one day.
Yeah, I've got a bit of social media and a contract to do. So
have you? Okay, all right. Well, have a great evening, living the dream.
I will. Yeah.
Speaking of social media, Paul, if people want to reach you, how can they reach you?
Oh, Ben, you're doing such a good job
Ben,
tonight.
I tell you what, Ben, I love you already. Yeah, there's a rural-properties.com website. Social media, it's all under Rural Properties. So I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. But the main thing's on the website, and you get to see. There you go. There's a list of properties there as well that shows what we're doing. There's quite a lot there that aren't listed because I'm still working on them. We've got Portugal Grand. We've got a big house coming up, and we've got some apartments in Serta coming up. So they'll be listed in the next while. But I've got estate agent boards up in Serta. I had 4 calls today. So,
good for you.
I want to look around the apartment. I said, well, you can't because it's like 3 months worth of work to do. But,
that's great, though, isn't it?
You can go in there, but the ground floor, the first floor apartment doesn't have a floor at the moment because we found
keep people out of there.
So many times. I said, rip it out, please. So my termites were there on Sunday, tearing out
termite army
wood from 1820s onwards. So
how incredible! Has our beloved Casa Adelina been sold yet?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent! Congratulations.
Well, we had an absolutely charming couple, a young Lisboetas came up, not this Saturday, the one before. Young couple, want to start a family, want to move out of Lisbon, all the tick things, love the house, happy to design their own kitchen with us because she has specific needs. And he is just checking this last week. Funny, we just emailed him this evening for a work transfer. He works for a bank, so he's looking for a transfer to somewhere in this area, be it Coimbra, which is convenient, Tomar, or even more local. So they're quite happy. The price didn't come into it. That's exactly what they wanted.
How fabulous. How fabulous. Wonderful, Paul. Thank you for joining us this evening. At short notice, it should be said. And
That's good.
We'll have a little bit of a guide.
So we hope this week to be able to announce that.
Yeah.
If not, we've got other couples actually quite similar to them.
Yes.
It does seem to appeal to younger people, which is good.
Has that surprised you?
Good. So it shouldn't take too long to sell that one, but we're quite relaxed about it. It's been such a lovely project.
Yes, we've enjoyed watching that unfold. Paul, thanks again.
Okay.
We'll say good evening to you. In fact, we'll say good evening to everybody, and thank you for joining us. And we'll see you again, not next week. It's the Wine Club next week, but the week after, 2 weeks' time, we'll be back with Find Your Home in Portugal. But join us next week for a bit of fun as well. Ben Austin might even be there. With his excellent... Thank you. Great job tonight, making sure that people who know who the guests are and how to contact them, Ben. Really basic stuff that I should be all over by now. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody. Take care, and bye for now.